Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." If you suspect she's squandering your most precious resource, attention, stay locked on until the final sign. Every chapter cuts through wishful thinking with Stoic blades, so hit like, subscribe, share your story below, watch to the end, and reclaim the time that belongs to your destiny. Chapter 1. Inconsistent Communication. She answers your Tuesday afternoon text on Thursday night, punctuating it with a random emoji that raises more questions than it answers. You might read it as a sign of her busyness or distraction until you notice a pattern. When she needs a ride, emotional support, or a favor, somehow you become magically reachable. But when you need straightforward clarity, she turns into a ghost whose phone may as well be orbiting Neptune. This kind of communication seesaw isn't simply a modern inconvenience, it's an alarm signaling that you're not a genuine priority. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius famously advised, "Attend to what is in front of you with precise and genuine care." If we apply that lens to her behavior, it becomes evident that she's not truly present for you. Her replies, when they do come, are vague or delayed to the point of irrelevance. It might be a brief LOL, an empty emoji, or a snippet of conversation that doesn't address your initial questions. These flat or tardy responses reveal that she's not fulfilling the Stoic principle of real, earnest attention, no matter how many times you try to offer thoughtful, articulate messages. The best way to gauge interest is to track her patterns without making excuses on her behalf. Does she consistently take days to respond, only to pop up sounding sweet and enthusiastic when she wants something? Do you send multi-sentence texts about your day, ambitions, or feelings, only to receive one-syllable or disjointed replies that effectively shut down further dialogue? That glaring gap between your level of investment and hers is the clearest audit sheet of her genuine interest. In short, you're giving paragraphs, and she's giving punctuation. A woman who truly wants you will find a way to stay connected even during the busiest days. She might send a quick thinking of you voice note between back-to-back meetings, shoot a 5-second text right before boarding a flight, or share a photo of a sunrise with the caption, "This made me think of you." These gestures may seem small, but they speak volumes about her desire to include you in her life. If such moments are chronically absent, and not just once or twice, but as a consistent pattern, Stoic logic tells us to stop interpreting it as anything else. We accept the reality, no response, or severely delayed response, is itself a response. Every unanswered or half-hearted reply effectively chips away at your internal reservoir of self-worth, draining what could be called your dignity credits. You might brush it off, telling yourself she's just busy or not a big texter, but the repeated behavior sends a potent signal. Eventually, these small erosions add up to a larger sense of feeling undervalued. The Stoics remind us that our dignity is a precious resource, one we have a moral obligation to protect. So, decide right now that your dignity is non-negotiable. How do you act on that decision? First, place your phone face down. Rather than staring at the screen, awaiting a sparse crumb of her attention, devote the mental energy to your own pursuits, work, hobbies, friends, or any constructive endeavor. Let time and her actions reveal whether she's truly invested in maintaining an active dialogue with you. If she only resurfaces when she's bored, lonely, or in need of a favor, regard that sudden "hey stranger" as a perfect test of your resolve, courtesy of the universe. When she does reappear after long bouts of silence or minimal engagement, resist the temptation to respond within seconds, as if you've been breathlessly waiting. A brief delay in replying isn't about being petty, it's an honest reflection of reality. You're not at her beck and call, because she isn't at yours. Stoics don't advocate revenge or game-playing, they advocate balance, emotional equilibrium, and living in harmony with truth. If her pattern demonstrates you're not a priority, then she is not yours either. Effective communication in any relationship should resemble a mutual dialogue, not a frantic attempt to decipher cryptic Morse code from a sinking ship. If after a calm, respectful conversation about how you'd prefer a more consistent back and forth, she continues with the same erratic pace or disinterest, that's your cue. Gratefully exit the loop without bitterness or regret. See it as a valuable lesson in self-respect and self-awareness, a chance to practice apatheia, that Stoic ideal of freedom from destructive, turbulent passion. By refusing to let her capricious communication habits dictate your emotional well-being, you reclaim control over your internal economy. No longer will her delayed texts or breadcrumb-like emojis hijack your mood. Instead, you stand firm, secure in the knowledge that consistent communication is a baseline requirement for any healthy bond. And once you internalize that principle, you'll only invest in connections that genuinely reflect your worth, connections where precise and genuine care goes both ways. Chapter 2. Mixed Signals. Hot on Saturday, cold by Monday. You spend the weekend in a thrilling whirlwind of texts, calls, and coy affection. By the start of the work week, she's suddenly distant, ignoring your messages or offering one-word replies. One moment she insists you're the only man who truly gets me, even sharing secrets and inside jokes. The next moment, she forgets to invite you to her own birthday dinner or includes you only as an afterthought when other plans fall through. Such behavioral whiplash can feel like an addictive puzzle. But remember, confusion isn't romance, it's an unstable dynamic dressed up as mystery. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus implored students to separate impressions from judgments. Here, the raw facts are indisputable. She's cancelled plans on short notice multiple times, and she's inconsistent about your presence in her life. Yet you might interpret these facts as something benign. She must be stressed at work, or she's just in a weird headspace lately. In reality, your interpretations might be excuses shielding you from an uncomfortable truth. Strip away these rosy inventions and pay attention to the repeated pattern of lukewarm involvement. Mixed signals often camouflage deeper issues that have little to do with you personally. A common scenario is that she basks in your attention and validation but doesn't want a full-fledged commitment. She appreciates feeling special when you message or compliment her, yet she's not interested in the investment or responsibility of a genuine relationship. Another possibility is that she thrives on competition, knowing there are multiple suitors on the horizon boosts her ego, and you're one of the players being strung along. Finally, there's a chance she's wrestling with internal turbulence, whether it's emotional baggage, past traumas, or psychological hurdles that no amount of your support can resolve without professional help. In each case, your gentle patience won't magically untangle her contradictions. The Stoics taught self-command in the face of external unpredictability. Rather than chase her shifting moods like a dog chasing its tail, hold your ground and maintain clarity about what you want. If her signals are maddeningly inconsistent, approach her once with calm honesty. I sense we're out of sync. Do you see us exploring a steady relationship or not? That single question can slice through the fog. If she responds with more vague half-promises or refuses to give you a direct answer, accept her evasion as the only closure you need. No response is a response. Your presence, your time, energy, and emotional capacity must be treated as a privilege, not a playground for someone who oscillates between needy closeness and distant coolness. When you refuse to keep decoding her unpredictable temperature shifts, you'll discover a newfound sense of peace. You're no longer analyzing cryptic texts or second-guessing every cancelled plan. Instead, you free up your mental and emotional bandwidth for people who show clear and steady interest. Consistency isn't just a practical concern, it's incredibly attractive because it offers a sense of emotional safety. Inconsistent signals hint at looming storms, mood swings, abrupt breakups, and a pattern of disrespect that gradually wears down your self-esteem. The Stoic approach is to recognize that real confidence and love cannot thrive in a climate of perpetual doubt. If you want fruitful crops, a healthy partnership that grows over time, seek an environment stable enough for those seeds to sprout. Stop romanticizing the roller coaster of hot and cold. Stormy relationships may feel exciting in brief bursts, but they rarely foster genuine intimacy or mutual growth. By prioritizing consistency and clarity, you set the stage for a deeper connection. And when you consciously decide you deserve someone whose flame doesn't flicker at the slightest draft, you pave the way for a partnership built on trust rather than turmoil. Chapter 3. No or low effort. You ask about her childhood, hoping to delve into stories that shaped her. She shrugs, deflects with a vague one-liner, and pivots to the time of her nail appointment. You share a career milestone, a new promotion or an innovative project, and she responds with a lazy Snapchat filter, no follow-up question in sight. Perhaps she tosses a cool or nice your way, but you're left feeling like a radio host with a silent co-anchor. Why does it matter? Relationships thrive on reciprocity, an active exchange that both parties nourish. The Stoics taught virtue as a shared pursuit, where each person helps the other hone integrity, wisdom, and empathy. When only one person invests in conversation, emotional labor, and support, the imbalance grows. If you feel like a marathoner towing a picnic wagon while your partner glides on a scooter, it's time to pause and reevaluate. Effort gaps aren't a product of gender stereotypes, they're calculations of respect and intentionality. Maybe she forgets the details you share, even the ones that matter deeply to you, or constantly dismisses open-ended questions that require more than a monosyllabic response. She never suggests new places to go, rarely remembers birthdays or celebrations beyond a passing happy birthday, and always assumes you'll plan the next get-together. Measure energy input with the same precision a merchant uses to weigh gold. Notice how often you reach out first, plan dates, or bring up meaningful topics. If your ratio of effort to hers is 3-to-1 over a clear stretch of time, say a few weeks or months, treat that as a red flag, not an excuse to keep giving. This isn't about tallying small acts tit for tat, it's about noticing patterns that communicate, I'm not prioritizing you, or even I expect you to carry my emotional weight. When you spot this lopsided effort, speak up. Articulate the difference between perfunctory engagement and genuine participation. Tell her that you appreciate follow-up questions, that you value it when she remembers a story or asks how a project turned out. Explain that you want a partner who contributes ideas and excitement, not someone who only texts when it's convenient or drops emojis instead of meaningful replies. State your boundaries and define what trying looks like: sincere questions, real curiosity, active listening, and an occasional plan initiated from her side. If she hears you out but sticks to the bare minimum, let silence replace your constant stimuli. A Stoic farmer doesn't keep watering barren soil. Once he sees nothing will grow, he rotates his crops. By reallocating your energy, this precious resource, into your ambitions, friendships, or creative pursuits, you open space for people who naturally reciprocate. Conversation fuel is finite. Spend it where it accelerates growth rather than evaporates into a void. You'll be amazed how quickly genuine partners surface when you free up the bandwidth spent coaxing half-hearted interest. Real connection is a shared endeavor. It does not flourish on half-baked participation or last-minute maybe-I-can't texts. By recognizing and setting limits on no or low effort, you protect your emotional investment and invite collaborators, not mere bystanders, into your story. Chapter 4. Flaking on plans. When you first begin seeing someone, there's a dance of schedules and invites. Maybe you book a favorite brunch spot, or she says she'll accompany you to a friend's gathering. Initial plans can feel like promises, lightly tethered hopes that you'll both come together to enjoy a shared moment. But what happens when she repeatedly cancels at the last minute or simply never shows? You might find yourself in a cycle of chasing, double-checking, and readjusting your calendar to accommodate her, only to be left with a flurry of excuses. A common scenario: she eagerly agrees to Saturday brunch, only to recall hours before that her cousin is unexpectedly in town. Or perhaps she pledges to attend an event that matters to you, your art show, a charity run, a casual evening with friends, and then sends a text an hour prior that she caught a vibe to stay in. The Stoic view on disappointment. In these moments, Epictetus's admonition rings true: when you are thwarted, have patience and accept. On a surface reading, accept might mean you should simply let it go, keep smiling, and pretend not to notice the pattern. However, the more nuanced Stoic perspective insists that acceptance must be paired with clear judgment about what you can and cannot control. Yes, you can accept that her choice is outside your realm of influence, only she controls her willingness to follow through. But acceptance doesn't mean you must continually open your schedule to repeated dismissals. Instead, learn to see her actions without illusions. When someone values your time, they protect your mutual engagements. Picture how the ancient Romans guarded their city gates. Vigilant sentinels stood watch to ensure the city's safety. In a relationship, guarding shared moments means recognizing that plans carry weight. They aren't just placeholders to be swapped out the minute a new vibe arises. Emergencies can and do happen: family crises, sudden work obligations, or true health concerns. One or two cancellations might be unfortunate but understandable. Yet when unending excuses stack up, you have a pattern. From forgiveness to adjusted expectations. The first time she flakes, you might shrug and figure it was an outlier, something beyond her control. The second time, you might still give the benefit of the doubt and hope for better. By the third time, you have enough evidence to suspect a habit. Stoicism teaches us not to cling to resentment, as harboring anger only harms your own tranquility. Instead, you can use each instance of flakiness as a clue about her level of investment. Think of consistent cancellations or no-shows as a compass, pointing directly away from a more serious connection with her. Your response shouldn't be to lash out, send a barrage of guilt-laden texts, or deliver passive-aggressive sarcasm. Each of these approaches is tantamount to emotional spending with no return. You invest energy trying to convey your disappointment or frustration, yet you typically gain no real change in behavior. Rather than lecturing her on respect or courtesy, let her actions speak for themselves. In your mind, pivot your expectations back down to zero. Instead of asking her 3 times if she's really going to meet you, or rearranging your entire day to fit her spontaneous whims, place the invitation squarely in her hands. You pick the day that works for you, and I'll keep it open. Why this approach matters? By letting her choose, you remove the possibility of misaligned scheduling excuses. You also step away from the dynamic where you're the primary organizer, the one always making space for her. If she's genuinely interested in spending quality time together, this approach gives her room to prove it. She'll pick a date, confirm the details, and show up. But if she responds vaguely, "I'll let you know," without ever following through, or chooses a day and then vanishes, you have a clear sign that she doesn't truly prioritize your company. This is the crossroads. You can keep texting reminders, making new proposals, or trying to pin her down, or you can heed the Stoic call to preserve your own peace. The latter means withdrawing from the chase. Not in bitterness, not with snide remarks, but with calm acceptance that it is what it is. Her repeated flakiness is not yours to fix or endure indefinitely. Instead, you observe, learn, and redirect your energies toward pursuits that feed your growth and stability, turning disappointment into productivity. Stoicism encourages shifting attention from what we cannot control to what we can ourselves. If she continually bails on plans, those now freed hours don't need to be lost in frustration. Turn them into dividends of personal development. You could head to the gym for a focused workout, sign up for that language class you've been eyeing, or attend a networking dinner you postponed. By turning potential downtime into purposeful activity, you transform her absence into an investment in yourself. Remember, your time is an asset, non-renewable and precious. People who value you recognize that and don't treat your schedule as disposable. By investing in your own self-improvement, you also maintain your sense of self-worth, reminding yourself that you deserve a partner who respects your commitment as you do theirs. The unexpected return. Sometimes, once you stop bending to every rescheduling attempt, the person who used to flake realizes they can no longer treat your plans as casual or optional. They might circle back, apologizing and asking to set something up. If that happens, respond courteously. Stoicism doesn't advocate rudeness or cold shoulders, just rational boundaries. Be clear, though, that your calendar is now protected ground. Future engagements require a proven track record of reliability. It's not about punishing her or playing hard to get, it's about upholding mutual respect. You may find that she doesn't return at all, which is its own revelation. If her pattern was a series of non-committal gestures, it likely wasn't going to evolve into something serious. By stepping out of that dynamic, you preserve your energy and dignity. You also free yourself to be available to someone else who will guard your shared time with genuine interest and consideration. Embodying Stoic principles. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to remain emotionless robots in the face of disappointment. Instead, it reminds us to recognize the limits of our control, respond calmly, and pivot back to productive action. You can feel disappointed by her unreliability, but you don't have to hold on to that disappointment as a permanent state. Release it, redirect your energy toward personal growth, and remain open to relationships where shared time is treasured. Ultimately, flakiness is a behavior that signals readiness, or lack thereof, for deeper connection. If she values your presence, she will show up prepared and excited. If not, let her be, while you continue your journey, focusing on pursuits and people who align with a life of reliability and authentic connection. Remember, your time is sacred ground, and it deserves the same level of vigilant protection those Roman guards once gave their city gates. Chapter 5. Surface-level intimacy. You might find yourself drawn to her easy humor, the way she teases with wit, the lightness she brings into everyday moments. Maybe you share inside jokes that make your conversations feel effortless, even electric. But if you're paying close attention, you'll notice a pattern, one that becomes harder to ignore over time. The moment the conversation leans into real depth, emotions, values, childhood wounds, or long-term vision, she shifts. Not awkwardly, but skillfully. A joke here, a change of subject there, maybe a quick compliment or a seductive look to steer the moment back to comfort. And in that subtle redirection, you're left with the growing sense that what you're sharing isn't actually intimacy, it's performance. The Stoics taught that love should elevate both people, not merely entertain. True partnership, according to thinkers like Seneca and Epictetus, is about shared progress in character, truth, and virtue. It's not enough to laugh easily or flirt freely if the connection never dares to enter the terrain of truth. When all your interactions stay at the surface, safe, playful, charming, you begin to realize that you're floating on a lake with no bottom in sight. What looks like closeness is often just proximity without penetration, spark without depth, interest without intimacy. This illusion of connection extends beyond conversations and seeps into physical affection as well. A light touch on your arm, a fleeting kiss, a compliment thrown your way, they can all feel warm and affirming in the moment. But if those moments are never anchored in emotional sincerity, they begin to feel transactional. Like a dance being choreographed by habit rather than heart. It's as if the music is missing. Physical affection, when it's real, is a continuation of emotional presence. It springs from curiosity about who you are at your core, what haunts you, what heals you. If she's comfortable brushing your cheek but avoids asking about your dreams, your losses, your fears, then there's a disconnect between body and soul. You're touching, but not truly reaching each other. According to the Stoic model of relationship, the highest form of love is not pleasure but mutual betterment. It's about refining each other's character through honesty, patience, and courageous vulnerability. Relationships that dwell only on the surface may offer instant gratification, but they rarely withstand the trials that deepen loyalty and reveal true compatibility. Here's a simple way to probe the depth of your bond. Invite her to share something meaningful. Ask about a fear she's still learning to navigate, a challenge that shaped her, a hope she rarely voices. These questions don't demand perfect answers, they invite connection. If she consistently sidesteps them with sarcasm, redirection, or nervous dismissal, take note. It's not a matter of being too early or moving too fast. It's a reflection of how ready, or unwilling, she is to allow emotional depth into her life. Vulnerability is never easy, but those who want to build something lasting will stretch toward it, however awkwardly. If she won't even try, don't write it off as shyness or bad timing. Sometimes people stay behind emotional walls because they've decided, consciously or not, that surface-level safety is all they're willing to offer. Hold the line on what intimacy means to you. It's not just touching hands or exchanging pleasantries. It's being seen, heard, understood. If you notice the scales tipping too far, where you're sharing your story, revealing your hopes, offering your presence, and she's returning only polished smiles and practiced charm, pull back. You deserve more than shallow connection dressed in the costume of romance. You're not asking for perfection, you're asking for effort. For the willingness to go beneath the surface. And the right person will meet you there, eventually. She'll let you in, not all at once, but piece by piece, because she respects your depth and trusts your care. You won't have to beg for that. You won't have to chase it down. It will unfold naturally between you because both of you are willing to build something real. In that kind of exchange, you'll find a different rhythm entirely, not just the thrill of connection, but the grounding clarity of being with someone who shows up fully. The kind of partner who doesn't just flirt with the idea of love, but actually, intentionally, lives it. Chapter 6, Hidden in Her World. Months slip by, and you feel like you're lingering on the threshold of her life, forever knocking but never truly let in. No siblings surface in conversation, no best friends materialize at gatherings, and her co-workers remain ghostly silhouettes. Plans are consistently tucked away in private venues, effectively quarantining your bond from any shared spotlight. You begin to realize that while you've spent time together, you haven't actually entered her world. If you reflect through the lens of Stoic wisdom, the ideal life is one of openness. Marcus Aurelius emphasized living in harmony with the broader community, forging bonds that enrich both ourselves and those around us. When someone insists on keeping you at the edges, it often signals distance rather than intimacy. The deeper question looms: why? Consider a simple step. Suggest attending something ordinary, a casual weekend brunch with her friends, a birthday party for a coworker, or a relaxed dinner at her parents' house. If a relationship is heading toward genuine partnership, she should embrace the opportunity to introduce you. Sharing one circle is a natural progression when two lives begin merging. So, pay attention if she responds with deflection or sidesteps your request altogether. She might offer vague excuses, "They're not really my close friends," or "If it's last minute, I don't want to impose." But if these evasions become a pattern, that's a sign. She could be shielding another relationship, wary her social circle won't approve of you, or simply uninterested in mixing her personal and public spheres. Rather than pleading your case, allow her actions, or lack thereof, to speak for themselves. A Stoic approach means reading subtle denials as valid data about her priorities. From a Stoic viewpoint, you can't control her choices, only your own emotions and responses. Instead of pushing or begging for inclusion, train your energy on nourishing your own life. Elevate your career, deepen your friendships, and build stronger ties with your family or community. Your emotional well-being shouldn't depend on anyone's invitation to their social circle. It flourishes when you confidently stand in your own domain, surrounded by people who truly celebrate your presence. A partner who values you will naturally want to fold you into her world. She'll introduce you, proudly and happily, to the friends and family members who matter to her. If that isn't happening, see it for what it is, a clear signal that you're not fully part of her long-term picture. It's tempting to interpret her secrecy as a sign of her needing more time or privacy. Certainly, some people are slow to open up their social network for legitimate reasons like past hurt, protective family dynamics, or personal insecurities. However, if you've given the relationship room to grow, and time continues to pass without any sign of you breaking into her circle, that's more than just caution. It's a deliberate withholding that indicates emotional compartmentalization. In the Stoic sense, we aim to live transparently in the world, and a reluctance to share one's life can be a significant barrier to genuine connection. Ultimately, a relationship grounded in mutual respect should withstand the light of day. If you find yourself hidden from her broader world, unseen, unacknowledged, or kept in the shadows, you have every right to ask why. Speak openly about your desire for inclusion and watch how she responds. If clarity doesn't come willingly, if she continues to dodge or dismiss your concerns, recognize that her silence is just as revealing as any spoken answer. From there, you choose your path forward. Perhaps she finally opens up, integrating you into her social framework. Or perhaps you decide to invest your emotional energy elsewhere, nurturing bonds where you're embraced without hesitation. No matter which path unfolds, you're honoring the Stoic principle of living truthfully within a larger community. Real connection grows in the daylight, not in hidden corners. By refusing to remain cloistered in secrecy, you uphold your dignity and ensure that your relationships reflect an honest, open-hearted exchange, one that acknowledges your place in the world rather than burying it in shadow. Chapter 7. Future Talk Evasion. You float the idea of snagging concert tickets 3 weeks out and she breezes, "Let's see." You mention a 3-day winter cabin trip and she laughs, "That's forever away." Her words carry a fog of indecision that cloaks her real stance. She isn't planning to be next to you when the calendar flips. A woman who envisions you in her future scripts it eagerly. She checks her schedule, texts screenshots of Airbnb links, and hunts for discount codes an hour after the idea lands. Stoic generals mapped campaigns a year ahead, from grain routes to replacement horses, because commitment without logistics is fantasy. When she resists co-planning even the smallest outing, she's displaying a poverty of vision, a mind unwilling to stake resources on shared experience. Test the premise with one concrete proposal: "I'm hiking Mount Whitney in September. Let's train together and lock in permits next week." What's the response like a chess clock? If she pivots to ambiguity, "September feels so far," interpret it through Marcus Aurelius' lens. If a thing is humanly possible, regard it as within your reach. Her reluctance is not about logistics, it's about willingness. Treat hesitation as data, not drama. Offer one clarifying follow-up: "Totally fine if the mountain's not your vibe, just need to know whether to invite a climbing buddy." This forces the binary, invest or release. If she defers again, pivot. Your timeline marches regardless of companions, and the road respects travelers who keep pace. Future talk evasion often hides behind playful placeholders. She drops phrases like "someday we should," but never nails down dates. She says "we'll see what happens" when you suggest meeting her parents, or "maybe next month" each time you invite her to a friend's wedding. Stoic self-command urges you to strip away hope-colored filters and log the pattern. Does she proactively raise future events of her choosing, birthday brunches, brand launches, yet keep yours hovering in limbo? If yes, she's booking her calendar around a life where you're optional. Stop volunteering for the waiting list. Notice the physiological signals when she dodges commitment: shoulders lift, eyes slide away, voice pitch jumps half a note. Your body deciphers the truth before your mind allows it. Trust that somatic verdict. Then reallocate hours from prolonged texting about someday to preparing for realities with people who prize immediacy. Secure the permits. Buy the tickets. Build the itinerary. Extend invitations to those who reply. Count me in, send the link. You'll find friends, siblings, or a new dating prospect ready to lace boots without coaxing. Their enthusiasm will feel like fresh oxygen compared to her rationed attention. Anchor this pivot in Stoic economics. Wealth is measured by time and character, not coins. Every unanswered plan request is a withdrawal from your finite hours and emotional capital. Seneca wrote, "Men do not let anyone seize their estates, yet they allow others into their lives. Why? Because they value property more than themselves." Guard your calendar like real estate in a walled city. A partner who values you will press for shareable milestones, joint courses, festivals, volunteer weekends, because she sees growth in weaving paths early. Conversely, a partner who hedges suggests she's keeping exits open, preserving bandwidth for alternatives. That is her prerogative. Your prerogative is to recognize it and adjust without bitterness. How to exit gracefully? First, acknowledge reality aloud, not in accusation but observation. I've noticed we haven't locked anything beyond next week. I thrive on concrete goals, so I'm moving forward with people who sing that rhythm. No ultimatum, just declared preference. Then detach. Remove her placeholder from your mental calendar, silence notifications during planning bursts, and pour regained focus into sharpening spirit, language drills, deadlift cycles, mentoring interns, refining side hustles. Soon you'll stand on the Whitney summit at sunrise, lungs searing, horizon blushing gold, surrounded by companions who trained beside you. In your pocket buzzes a late text, "Hey stranger, wish I could have made it." And you'll respond with a landscape photo and a sincere wish for her well-being, free of spite because you mastered detachment the moment she first deferred. Future talk evasion is the final diagnostic in the 7-sign system because it tests alignment at the strategic scale. A woman who cannot picture you in her coming season reveals that your destinies diverge. Accept the verdict quickly, with Marcus' composure and Seneca's economy, and proceed to write chapters only those committed to the same pages can co-author. Like, subscribe, share your liberation story below, and remember, squandering life on someone unsure of you is the only tragedy fortune refuses to refund. Seneca reminds us, life is long if you know how to use it. The 7 signs you just heard are your field guide to reclaiming that length. If even to describe your situation, stop negotiating with confusion and start negotiating with purpose. Unanswered texts, evasive plans, surface talk, each one is time slipping through clenched fists. Decide tonight that your attention will never again bankroll someone's boredom. Pour it instead into mastery, your craft, your health, your mission, and watch how quickly genuine partners appear when your standards stand guard. If this episode cleared the fog, smash like so the algorithm pushes clarity to other men. Subscribe for the next Stoic drill, and drop your story below. What sign finally snapped the spell, and what you'll do with the hours you just won back. Your comment might be the lantern another brother needs. Remember, wasting seconds is wasting sovereignty. Guard both, and the right woman will meet you on ground already firm beneath your stride.